Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. On my workbench today is a Toshiba HX10 MSX computer from 1983. I picked this one up a short while ago from eBay. It was advertised as non-working. I had one of these machines. I had a complete box machine with tape deck back in about 1986 or something like that. I actually swapped it for a original ZX Spectrum with a friend of mine at school, and there were some really nice games on it. So things like Chiller and I think it was Galaxians and all sorts of other things. Games were on there, and it was a really nice machine. I have had one sort of about 20 years ago, and I had a box one, but I actually sold it on. At the time I felt I didn't need it. But recently I've been watching quite a few videos with various channels where MSXs have been coming back up on the market and being purchased and loved and so forth. And I thought, actually, I fancy having an MSX. So I purchased this. It was about £40 on eBay, non-working. It seemed to be in pretty good condition. As you can see here, it's a nice keyboard here. We've got cursor keys, insert, delete, select, home, function keys, a cartridge slot. On this side here, you've got two joystick ports, a printer port. Then on the back here, you've got an expansion bus, video and audio RF, cassette recorder sockets, and it looks like the expansion bus, there's a little cover on that, and that hasn't been taken off. Then on this side here, you've got the power button. Straightforward, nice easy little power button. Here we have, let's see if I can see it, there we go. Toshiba home computer model HX10, power supplies, 240 volts, 50 hertz, 17 watts. So it's a UK model machine. Yeah, I've always liked the MSX standard. I thought it was a really neat idea. It's off-the-shelf components, so it's pretty straightforward to fix, generally. So this was sold not working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to power it up, and let's see what happens. So if I turn it on, plug it in, turn on, let's see whether we get a power light. And we do. So yeah, there we go. LEDs are lighting up. So yeah, that's a good sign. I haven't checked this at all. This is the first time I actually got the computer very recently, and I've just not had time to even test it. Again, I haven't got any software for this. I've got no cartridges or anything like that at all. So we're going to have to see what we see. So let's plug it into the computer and see if we get a video signal out of it. So let's turn the TV on. Turn the Betamax on, because that's actually the inputs going into the back of the Betamax video recorder here. So I'm just going to plug the video and the audio in, and just change channel to channel 2. Just make sure the Betamax is playing, so it is actually the right channel. Yeah, there's an old tape in there. Let's power up. Let's see what happens. It's a pretty good sign. And we have a picture, and we have a prompt. So let's try the keyboard, see whether the keys work. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it looks like the X and the Shift key aren't working on this keyboard. Does the stop work? Maybe, I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, it's powering up. We've got two keys that don't work. So what we're going to do is open it up and have a look inside and look at the motherboard and also look at the keyboard and see whether we can fix it. So this looks like a pretty simple, straightforward board. I'm quite surprised actually. I don't know what this is here. I'll have to find out from the service manual. So you've got the main circuit board. I think that's the video display. Let's have a look. That looks like the actual sound chip. That's the Z80 CPU. Yeah, transformer. Is it plugged in? Yeah, it's plugged in but switched off. Power supplies by the looks of it, bridge rectifier there, some sort of relay to do with probably cartridge, various capacitors which I need to look into actually replacing. But yeah, it's a well laid out, and this looks like the RAM here, 4116, yes, looks like 300 nanoseconds. Various glue logic chips here. I'm not sure whether that's the video or that's the video. TCX1007. I will check that one out and see what it's like. The chips, yeah, that chip looks like the legs are slightly corroded, but to be honest with you, I think that'd be fine. All of the chips are generally in place. It's a very nicely laid out board. This could be video actually. I've got a funny feeling this could actually be the composite video. Something to do with that. I will check that one out. We've got here a 74LS104 chip there and a LVA 510. Yeah, I'll have a look at that. Crystal oscillator here. Again, nice big fat caps to smooth out the power supply. Yeah, it looks fine. So, okay, let's have a look at the keyboard and see whether we can fix those keys. It's a quite nice keyboard. It's got a nice tappy, nice feel to it. Nothing too cheap. Soldered on keys. I don't know whether it's a membrane in between the two. I don't think so. I think they're actually proper switches. So what I'm going to do is I'm just looking for solder joints. Any dodgy solder joints? So Shift and X. So Shift and X. I'm going to put a little bit of heat onto these joints just to see what happens, and then we can try it again. It all looks fine. I don't see any cracked traces or anything like that at all. Yeah, it's quite reasonable. We've got this foam cover, which I believe is to sort of just protect it from touching anything. Yeah, it's not the best soldering job they did in the world, but it's certainly solid. Can't see anything of notes there. But yeah, it's nice they actually have proper connectors which are easy to take in and out. I absolutely hate these ribbon cables. They always seem to break. Yeah, that is I can make the keyboard go flat. Nice keyboard. Nice keyboard. Okay, I'm just going to reflow some of these and see what happens. So I have the computer plugged back in again. So if I switch it on, oh, hang on, let's turn that on, there we go, we get the actual screen up there, and let's see whether X. Okay, so the shift is now working. Oh, did it work? It worked for a short second there. Yep, so we're definitely getting a X from it, so the actual the multiplex scanning of the keyboard is taking place, so that's absolutely fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the solder out of these two keys and take them apart and have a look. So I've desoldered the keys out. Let's have a look inside. Okay, so it's like little membrane keys. Okay. Alright, okay. Let me put you on a much closer zoom on this. So the keys are pretty simple. You've got the base, which has two little contacts inside there. You've got the little plunger. You've got the little rubber cap with a so the graphite or carbon point. Let's see whether I can zoom in. There we are, much better. So that's the keyhole. We've got the four components of the key. So we have the base, and as you can see inside the base, there's two little contacts, and that contact is made by that little graphite circle there. It's a graphite or carbon circle, and this is a little rubber membrane you touch with the key, and it pushes that little rubber cup. You've got the plunger, which pushes the cup, and then the cap, which keeps everything all together. It's really simple. By the looks of it, the contacts in there are terrible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some isopropanol and some Q-tips or cotton buds and actually give that a clean up. So I've given that the base a bit of a clean. It was dirty and that, so there was a little bit of dirt on it. That's fine. So okay, I'm going to put that key back together and do the same with that. Put them back into the keyboard and see whether they work. I've put the keyboard back together again, the X and the shift, and so I'm now going to plug it in and see whether it actually works. There we go. Turn the television on. Turn the power on. We have a working X and we have a working shift key. So that's really good. Yeah, it was just a little bit of corrosion and crap on the shift and the X. Really, really nice. Okay, so let's put the machine back together again. Or actually, I'm going to put the keyboard back into the top case, and then we'll have a look at the actual motherboard and see what caps we can replace, or what needs replacing, I should say. So keyboard back in the case, ready to go. So let's turn our attention to this board. Let's just switch the power off to it. So we've got a number of capacitors, 4,700 microfarads at 16 volts, 470 at 35, 220 at 35. We've got various caps, 10 microfarad at 16, 100 at 16. They're all electrolytic. They're all 10 microfarad, 22, 100, plenty of 22s, plenty of 10s, 4.7. Yeah, so a good few of them. And then on this little board here, if I just zoom down in, yeah, got this little board here, which I'm not entirely sure what it does, but I think it's something to do with the audio. On that we've got a number of caps, so I might actually leave it alone for now. What I am going to do is I'm actually going to take these chips out and just reseat them. Yeah, so I'm just going to take these chips out and reseat them. Okay, pins all look good. Just reseat it. Like that. That all looks good. This has got some sort of heat sink on it. That's the ROM. So even just creating a better connection with them. This one here has some corrosion, that's the video chip. So I'm just going to put that back in there, like that. So yeah, so that's the ROM, that's video chip, CPU, some sort of UART, or not entirely sure on that one. And that's the sound, but from what I can tell. Okay, I tell you what, I'm going to leave this machine alone, and I'm going to give it a good clean up later on. And yeah, so I'm just going to put it back together again. I'm going to get some software for it, and actually then put it on test and see how well it does. The computer's all back together again, the MSX is back together again. X works, yeah, everything all seems to be fine. So I'm just going to type up a little program to test it and see what happens. And there we have a little bit of a maze. Yeah, bring that in. It's a variation of a classic program to create an auto-generated maze. It's not the best version, but it seems to work quite nicely. Yeah, the computer's working pretty well. And you can let that run, it will go on forever like that. And so, okay, I'm going to order the TZX Arduino and the cable to allow me to actually load up cassette games into this without having to use cassettes. That's going to turn up. As soon as it does, I'll continue on with this video and test it out even further. I might even try a little bit of audio sound on this and see how it sounds. Okay, so I've typed in a program from off the internet. Let's see what we get. In fact, actually, I've realised that I think we need a bracket there. 1 2 1 2. No, we don't. 1 2 1 2. It's that one there. Yeah. $150. Oh yeah. Well, gotta wait until some software turns up, I think, and then we can actually think about using it. After a bit of digging around, I managed to find the TX Arduino I had with my ZX Spectrum, and my ZX Spectrum's up in the box, up in the loft, and I was digging around and I just thought, hang on a minute, I'm sure I've got something. And so the cassette port cable came from eBay. So it's got a DIN connection on the back on that side, and then you've got ear, remote and mic. The remote is used to control the tape deck to stop and start it. In this case, it just stops and starts the TX Arduino. So I'm just going to plug that back in. There we go. Let's just delete that. So on the TX Arduino, we've got an SD card in there. I've put a ton of MSX games, and I've got Boulder Dash there. And as you can see, as it's scrolling, it says, was it 1985, First Star Software, and then it will tell you what command, and the actual, this is actually on the file name of the actual file it's scrolling through. So it's run cas. So, yep, so if I go up to TV, run cas colon like that, press enter, then come down here, and on the top we've got controls here to stop, start, back and forward, you know, and just press that. So that's playing now, and there we go. So that will go off and start loading the game. And that clicking inside here is a relay which actually controls the TX Arduino, so it actually stops and starts it. And then you see where it says that playing, it will then say paused and so on. There we go, you can see it just flickering away. 24%, 25, 26, 27%. and so it actually paused it while it was loading that screen in. And yeah, it will just start loading, and as soon as that comes to 100%, the game will start playing. There we go. It's loaded up. Got a joystick. I'm probably going to be quite bad at this, even though I love this game and played it a lot. This joystick isn't particularly good. I used to be able to do this. Yeah, this joystick is not good at all. It needs all the contact sorting. Let's just go a bit closer. Yeah, the graphics on the MSX are not as good as the Atari 800 or the Commodore 64. Perfectly serviceable, much better than the Spectrum. Right, an absolute margin. Yeah, I used to be able to do this level really quickly with the right controller. Yeah, we can now get out of the maze. Come on, joystick. I think all the contacts need doing on it. There we go. So I've got a ton of software in this thing, on this SD card. So yeah, it's working absolutely fine. The graphics are reasonable. They look washed out on the camera, but actually it's just purely the ISO. Let me just... there we go. It's starting to bring the colour in. So I've always liked the little HX10, and the MSX standard was always an interesting one. It just got swamped out by other better standards. If it had come across along a year or two before, it might have actually done a lot better. My first exposure to an MSX was a Yamaha music computer at my middle school, probably 83 or 84, something like that. And we had it in the music room, so I was always fascinated by what it was and what it could do. Yeah, it was the same school I got quite heavily into the BBC Micro, so yeah. Oh, this is terrible. Oh god, this joystick is bloody awful. Oh, well, I don't know what that was. I think that means that we can go out now, but I didn't. There we go. Yeah, this joystick is awful. It's called the Boss Precision Engineering Wyco patient paint made in the USA. It's bloody awful. It's just such a wide, just a sort of the way in which it actually moves. It doesn't actually make contact until you've moved it a huge amount, and the only button you've got is this thing at the top here. I much prefer a button down on here, so you can concentrate on that and then use the other hand for that. So yeah, this came with I think one of my machines I got from eBay. It still works, but it's just awful. So right, well, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. If you like this sort of content, I've got another couple of videos coming out soon. And I'll see you on the next video.